Hey everyone, welcome to the Tellor community call, May 18th, 2021. Yeah, should have a nice call for you today. We got a lot of questions. So a lot of it's just going to be kind of going over that. To give you guys a quick update, what kind of the core team's working on, what we'll be up to. So for those that don't know, so we're going to be doing an update to the smart contracts tomorrow. We'll let you guys know whenever that pushes through. Basically, since this is the final stage of getting the smart contracts all back up and running since the big freeze that happened back in February, so we sort of have slowly been adding back in some of the features and having them undergo some audits and really extensive testing. So this is adding back in the full decentralized governance voting pieces. So as far as a token holder or as a miner, nothing should change. You should just notice us posting on the main channel, and that's going to be the only difference that you guys sort of feel in a day. But it's been a lot of work for us. That this whole contract freeze thing was really a big security incident for Tellor, and it sort of refocused us on security, and it's been really good. So we'll be pushing those pieces through tomorrow. Like most things, you guys won't notice any sort of difference. And then, yeah, Tellor is off to decentralized land. And then we'll, of course, once we perfect this one and get it all decentralized and looking beautiful, then, of course, what I'm going to tell you next is then we're looking at how to sort of move on to the next version of Tellor and make it even better. We're kind of continuously improving. And some of us we've sort of given you glimpses about what the next version of Tellor would be like, because we're still kind of just figuring it out ourselves. We're really in the midst of a bunch of team discussions on how best we want to structure Tellor. We've sort of been very vocal about we want to move to more of a proof of stake rather than the proof of work, and we want to be able to be cross-chain and also move away from numerical values. So those are some of the things that we're thinking about doing within a month, though. So like I'd say our time frame is about a month away. We'll be releasing the next version of the white paper, open for comments for everyone. As far as like the timeline goes, would be we release the white paper for comments, start coding it up and testing it for the next 2 months, send it out to an audit, then test it on RinkB for a month. So you're looking like an ambitious timeline of November getting this thing out the door. So Q4 roughly 2021. And I think that the big thing is just be a part of the process every step of the way. So we want people really looking at kind of all of our assumptions on security, all of our assumptions on what people want and how it's going to work, and really just question it and be part of the community there. We want the goal of the Tellor system is to be the best Oracle that we can be and provide something useful. And a lot of times it's you get different people who act in their own self-interest, and sort of making sure that we have all of the right checks and balances in place to have sort of a properly functioning community. So you can think about like the Bitcoin community. You have like the miners, and then you also have the holders, and then you have the people who are actually trying to use it for something, and they all sort of want different things out of the software. And in the Tellor ecosystem, we have some users, we have some miners, we have some token holders, we have the team, and we all kind of want different things out of the Tellor system. But it's working on how to best balance all of those competing interests to make something that is balanced in that it's fair, but then it also achieves what it's trying to do ultimately, which is be an amazing Oracle. So be a part of it. We're going to be putting it up to a vote in Q4 or Q3, forever away, but you'll be able to kind of vote on it. We're hoping that it's going to be so exciting that every single person will be ecstatic to vote it through. Yeah, and then we've been busy. We're still hiring, so we're looking for really good developers, basically. If you're if you are a developer, whether you're a junior dev or a senior dev and you want to help out, or you know somebody, we're happy to meet them. You know, we want to find people who are willing to, you know, you don't necessarily need to be a Solidity expert or a blockchain ninja right now, but we want to see the potential that you can be, and it should be good. And then Mike, anything from you? We closed out that hackathon last week, right?
Yeah, we were really excited to wrap up that hackathon. We had a couple um, projects that really sort of were the cream of the crop. That I think were two projects that are some of the best that we've had at any hackathon. Um, Ryan, you want to tell the folks here a little bit about our winners?
Yeah, so we had Xfill. They're a protocol that kind of they allow instant withdrawals from layer two. So that was a really cool implementation that we saw. They were using the fellowship, which was awesome. And then we had Prime Choice Select. They're they're kind of an interesting protocol where they're automatically selecting the best blockchain that'll kind of aggregating which fees are going to work best for each transaction. So that was a really cool implementation we saw as well.
Awesome. And welcome to a couple people that just hopped in late. Dennis, Farmhands, and Sal. We also got another guy jumping in. This is pretty exciting. This is we know we're in a bull market when these calls are getting busy again. So welcome to everybody that's joining. Austin, thanks for joining. Let us know, you guys that are in the chat that are tuning in live. We love to interact with you guys. Let us know if you have any questions. But what do you say we jump into the questions? We got quite a few.
Yeah, let's knock them out quick.
All right, so we have 24 questions. We'll try to rapid fire through these because they can take a while when we have this many. And I haven't reviewed them ahead of time, so we'll see. Will the original TRB still exist when TellorX launches, or is it a second coin? Will TRB holders get airdropped? It's going to be the same token.
We want to make it the same token, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, I mean, we just dealt with the whole migration issue and it was not fun. So we definitely don't ever want to do that again. I think, you know, I think the only time theoretically you might want to, we might migrate or something would be like with an ETH 2.0 launch, but that's like forever away. So
yeah,
that's like whenever everyone's going to have to upgrade their contracts because ETH 2.0 breaks everything. So.
Well, that's a good segue to this question. What steps are you planning to take regarding ETH 2.0? How are you planning to adapt to Ethereum's proof of stake? Anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like kind of as we're designing Tellor in the next version of Tellor, you want to, that's one of the really limiting factors with proof of work actually, is that you can't, it's really hard on proof of work to get block times down too low, or else things become really weird. So, you know, we want to make sure that the structure that we build on top of Ethereum or on top of any other network can handle being faster. And then also just the flexibility. So, you know, there's a big difference between being on a proof of work network like today, where Tellor can work with 500 GWay gas prices and it costs you, you know, $100 to do a transaction. But then if it should also be able to work if it only costs you a penny to do a transaction, and it should still make sense. And those are really two different worlds, and trying to be flexible enough to do both is a very difficult task, but it's definitely something we're thinking about.
Cool. When marketing, we talk about that all the time. We are, we're actually looking to hire a few different hires that will help bolster our efforts with outreach. And so we have a strategy in mind around that, and we're going to continue with it. Next one is, what are your thoughts on Eric Wall's Chainlink comments?
I can give mine quick.
Yeah.
So those of you guys that didn't see Eric Wall, he's a longtime Chainlink bear. You could say he just he kind of correctly identifies a lot of the flaws in some of Chainlink's arguments. So Some of the things he talks about is basically just that Chainlink has a good game, but they're not actually live on a lot of things. So, they don't actually slash nodes if they provide bad data. And a lot of time, in the Chainlink white paper, they talk about implicit staking, which he correctly kind of. So to explain implicit staking, it's like, well, your future revenue streams, you're basically staked, because if you act in a wrong manner, then you're going to get kicked out by the Chainlink whitelist operator, and then you'll lose that future stream, and therefore that's implicit staking. And it obviously doesn't make any sense, because that's like saying that, a pizza company won't give you a bad pizza because they're implicitly staked, because they don't want to lose the future revenue. And it's like, that's just normal business. That has nothing to do with crypto economics. It's running a business and having a reputation. Like, you can just call it that. You don't need to call it implicit staking. And people throw away their reputations all the time for money. We know this. It's just one of those things that it's even harder to necessarily measure and value. Whereas if it's explicit staking, so you have $1 million in a contract, that this thing's secure up to $1 million from bribes. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I'm also a big fan of his, and just anybody in this space that is putting into plain language and translating all the sort of gobbledygook that can be in some of these white papers, like the Chainlink white paper, and not even just to single out them. He does that for a lot of people. There's a lot of obfuscation and added complexity just to confuse people in these things, and it's not easy to figure that out if you're not a PhD. So for people like him, they do a great service. So follow.
Yeah, I would say, like, if you're reading other people's white papers, just don't sell yourself short, because a lot of times people like read these and they're like, oh man, I can't understand this. That must mean it's just way too technical for me. And it's like, no, most of the time that just means it's bullshit. Like, if you read through it and you can't get it, like, try again, but you should maybe reach out to the team. But everything can be explained, and you should be able to understand it. Like, it's not that difficult. So, like the Chainlink white paper is like 150 pages or some ridiculous amount. And, like, I like to think I know a little bit about the space, but whenever you read the whole thing and you still don't know how the thing's going to work, it's like, man, like I felt dumb after reading it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. And that's sort of, our experience with that early on with Daxia and Tellor is sort of informed our sort of strategy around how we wanted our white paper to be, or any content that we put out. There's a lot of information and a lot of, they're smart papers that we put out, but we want to make them that, that you at least understand it enough you can ask an educated question after reading it. And sometimes reading these other white papers, like, you can't make any sense of it. I wouldn't even know what to ask. And so, anyway, let us know how we do on our next white paper. Let's see here. I lost the questions. Where'd they go? Okay, here we are. I'm skipping. If there's any repeats, I'm just going to skip them. Someone just wrote 11. Okay. This one's
code word
advertisement. Now the people that normally DM me on Telegram advertise or advertising their services. Someone just wrote this huge advertisement for their SEO optimization service in this question form. So nice try, but we're gonna pass. Tellor is doing really good on the chart, but so many retail investors don't know it exists. Do you have any partnership news that can help with publicity, or can the team help the community organize a marketing campaign? I guess this is a bit of a repeat here. Yeah, we're doing our best, and we're continue to strive to do this sort of high targeted marketing that we think is the most efficient use of our time and of our sort of ethos and value system, which is a developer focused strategy. And we think that ultimately that has the longer term gains and benefits for us. versus getting inundated with the sort of hyper marketing cycle that you typically see. So, and I think if you zoom out, you can see that what we've done um, has been effective. And so we're going to continue to do that. That said, we are looking to improve and increase the amount of the things that we do in terms of outreach and marketing and all that stuff. So look forward to
Yeah.
that. Stay tuned. Is it possible for Tellor to be a proof of stake oracle and have your proof of work as a backup? We answered this question last week. So that's I don't know if you want to add. You weren't here last week when we answered that question. Thought we did a good job, but if you have another flavor to add to that question, Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, so you should just think about it as like capital. Like whether it's proof of work or proof of stake, it's just money. You're just how much does it cost to spin up a proof of work network? How much does it cost to stake? Eventually it all comes down to and there's just different flavors. So the fact that proof of work is necessarily more secure than proof of stake, it's they're kind of just two different flavors of how you have to spend money to be a participant in the network. So we just want to make something that makes sense, because a lot of times with proof of work, even we see it in the downfalls of proof of work are it can be really good early on. You have GPU miners, you have a lot of early community who's really scrappy and coders, and that's great. But then it gets to the point where now it's just run by 4 or 5 big mining pools, and it kind of centralizes, and that's that, and then none of the little guys can even compete. So yes, you have this proof of work thing, but it's not like the Satoshi Vision proof of work where everyone is validating on a computer, which is ideally what you want. Even in the same way, staking is really good. If you have like on Uniswap, like it felt really good because there were a lot of smaller LPs, people who could still go about it. But eventually the trend is going to be that's going to be monopolized by large banks or people who are liquidity providers on futures market and stock markets. And when that happens, the benefits of even staking then are staking versus proof of work, and none of it matters. It's just it's sort of centralized and big, and you want to probably switch away to move it to smaller guys again. So yeah, don't know if that was good or
Cool. So any sort of price conversation that you guys want to have with us about the price going up or down, our regular spiel about this is that we don't like to, I mean, we don't know. We know the same thing you guys know. Just be patient, be smart, and, don't FOMO. When will it be possible to stake with TRB? You want to touch
technically
on
now.
TellorX?
Technically now, but we were just saying probably November-ish. So
Yeah.
Q4.
Not a question, just to say that the link to the Tellor project on Binance is broken, and this could affect the interest on the market. Take a look at the spot trading area. Thank you for this. This was, I received a message about this earlier this morning as well, and so we reached out to them. I don't personally trade on Binance, so I didn't notice it, but thank you for noticing it and letting us know. So we'll work to get that link fixed with them directly, and usually they're really fast with that. So we appreciate this coming from the community. These are a lot of repeats, guys. I'm new to crypto, trying to learn as much as I can right now. Since Ethereum transitioned to proof of, this is a repeat, another proof of stake question. If proof of work is your guys' focus, my concern is companies wanting to work with proof of stake because of the carbon issue.
Oh yeah, because of the Musk issue. Yeah. No, I don't even know. I think we purposely try not to talk about that as an internal team too.
We have a low carbon footprint as a team, so
Are you crazy? You eat nothing but meat.
Hey, meat farms are carbon negative, bro.
Right.
'Cause I don't eat cows that come from these big
Right, right.
animal farms. Regenerative agriculture.
Ryan's laughing at you.
Anyway, that's it. All the other ones were a lot of repeats. Any in the
Cool.
chat?
Yes, so we got one. This is a great question. So what do y'all think about Vitalik's Uniswap Oracle proposal? So I actually made some comments on there. I'm the Mandalore. On there, it's an interesting proposal. So, Uniswap does oracles now, but he was saying that Uniswap should expand it and become more of just an oracle company, and that's what they do. And I think I've said to the team, like, if the purpose is to actually give the Uniswap token some actual purpose, like, hey, that's a valid use case, because right now it's sort of this purposeless governance token. So if you wanted to give some utility to it, I think that I can't argue with that. As far as, so he was sort of making the arguments about, they have a really high market cap and therefore could be, you would want to use some sort of augur style voting mechanism to where the market cap could decide a good or bad outcome. And I think the thread was actually super promising to me, because it showed that people understood, like, the way that augur style back and forth works is, it's actually what we implement in Tellor in a very simple way, to where somebody puts a value on chain, anybody can pay a fee to dispute it and say that's wrong, and then it goes to a vote of the token holders for, say, a day. And then if that vote is also wrong, it goes to a vote of the token holders for 2 days, and then for 3 days. And then eventually you would hope that every single person in the system is voting on this proposal. And basically, like, if, with augur, like, you would have to actually place money on which side you wanted. So it would be, you would say, yes, it was true, no, it was not true. And if this one passed, you would lose money if you voted wrong. And therefore, what's the cost to break that system? It's 51% of the market cap. So you would want a really, really high market cap coin to do it. And yes, you could do that. Like, any token could do that. ETH could do that. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's a good oracle. Because, like, we all know that in that system, how long did it take? Well, there was like a 1-day vote, and then a 4-day vote, and then a 7-day vote, or whatever it takes. Like augur, it was like, there was even one like 30-day vote in the augur system. And nobody waits 30 days. Like, MakerDAO needs it done in an hour. Liquidity needs it done within like a day. And a lot of these, like, nobody's willing to wait that long. Like, most of these price feed systems are, they'll figure out how to liquidate the system well before your oracle goes through. And I think handling those really long tails isn't necessary. We all know that there's a cost to break for 1 minute, there's a cost to break for an hour, and there's a cost to censor the whole system for a month, like you could in the augur system. And usually people aren't willing to wait that long to kind of decide. And that was just kind of the point that I made. Like, having a good oracle is more about just making trade-offs, and how do you figure out what speed is, how do you figure out what the actual value is. Those are the ones that are hard. Like, eventually putting the whole system up to, because you could theoretically just use ETH in that way, and then the whole ETH network would fork based upon which one, which direction you want to go. And you could do that. And it would be as secure, 100% as secure as the ETH network. But, that's not a hard problem to solve. That's just like, nobody wants to wait for ETH forks to do anything. It's like you would sort of pick different paths well before that. So anyway, long rambling answer. Go read the Uniswap post for more. It was good. Next question. What do you think is Chainlink's Achilles heel? I'd say centralization is like the super easy one, but it's just like, hopefully people like decentralization. I mean, there's always like the risk of the SEC or something like that coming down, but you know, those are always really long-tailed risks. I think maybe like a surprise one might be like, I'd say their community is really off-putting in a lot of ways, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize that. You know, I hope we're a nicer community whenever we talk to people. But you know, if it comes down to like, we'd rather just not work with these guys because we don't want to deal with it, I think that could be a big thing. Because you see a lot of sometimes the bigger founders, the actual decision makers in the protocol don't necessarily like Chainlink and want them in their community, and they're not really happy about them trying to be their oracle. So yeah, I think that could be a bad thing for them. Last question, how do you think Chainlink versus Tellor will be used in 2025? What's Tellor's killer use case? Any ideas? I don't know what blockchain's killer use case is going to be in 2025. It's like forever. Yeah, no, I mean, that's like,
Well, we always say, just like Vitalik was getting at in that thread, was just slower, high value transactions.
yeah.
Where decentralization really matters.
Yeah, I think oracles are going to be used for bridging, for data availability, kind of checking these L2s. That'll be a really big one. And then obviously some price feeds as well. So if we can be used in some of those, it'll be good. And I think, yeah, you know, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the chain wars play out, because, you know, we're all still like 2025. Is it still going to be just ETH? Is ETH going to be at 2.0? Is it going to be everyone going to be on a roll up? Is everyone going to be on a Polygon, or do we switch to one of these other layer ones? I don't know. So that's going to really determine, and it's going to be, you know, by 2025, I'm guessing we'll see some regulatory action. So, you know, how decentralized do you have to be? And if the answer is very, very decentralized, then Tellor will look different, Chainlink will look different, the whole space will look different. So
yeah, but we're uniquely set up, at least compared to Chainlink or to a lot of other projects. We've focused on making sure that we're set up to be able to be nimble and to be ready for all of those eventualities. So
cool.
Keep our eye out and keep our ear to the rail.
Yeah, but thanks everyone for joining. This was a great conversation. We'll be on next week, and yeah, last week of May already. Anyway, but thanks everyone for joining. We'll talk to you next time.
See you.